DeCastro claims victory in post-hack livestream. There was a sense of at least insane victory in the air Saturday night as Chille DeCastro returned to live streaming following a series of P-bombs Friday night into Saturday morning that left the YouTuber in a sympathetic position. DeCastro's subscription numbers, which had been stuck at 623,000 for the past 2 months, ballooned overnight, jumping to the 625,000 mark and apparently ending whatever hold had been in place for his subscribers. His Saturday night stream focused on moving his Team DLZ viewers over to Twitter/X, and they responded in droves as his YouTube stream peaked at 125 live viewers, while his Twitter/X account ballooned to 453 views during the broadcast. Following the broadcast, his Twitter/X numbers rose to 590 total views and 3,058 total views on his main YouTube channel. While the gains made during the live for views on Twitter were good for the live streamer, those gains in viewership were not proportional to the losses in YouTube viewership. DeCastro's finances were actually hurt as he only did $139 in super chats on YouTube. Surviving a direct attack by multiple P-bombings was great for both DeCastro's attitude and his core Team DLZ, but fear of another P-bomb may have scared off his fans from contributing to the expected and much-needed influx of funding based on sympathy views. As with everything DeCastro touches this day, despite his up-day in attitude, financially, he effectively failed to plan for or capitalize on his fans' goodwill. He refused to open a new GoFundMe or reopen an old one for that matter. In the end, he essentially robbed himself of any new super chat funding by insisting his fans move to Twitter/X, where it is nearly impossible to send him money, and his YouTube revenue from what should have been his biggest show since his get-out-of-jail show failed to materialize. By Saturday evening, there was also a growing belief inside the community that DeCastro staged the attacks himself in order to jumpstart his Twitter/X campaign. While we have seen no evidence of this ourselves, and there is more than enough evidence to point to an outside individual or group, DeCastro is desperate for funding at this point. Fans pointed out that all of the P-bombings went on for much longer than expected before DeCastro himself ended the broadcasts. The streams are marked as deleted within Playboard's monitoring system and removed by user on YouTube. YouTube itself has also apparently refused to get involved, as DeCastro's channel remains active while other channels that had suffered P-bombs were suspended immediately by the platform. Again, add the fact that DeCastro is desperate to leave YouTube and he needs something, anything, to bring his numbers on Twitter/X up to the hundreds of thousands of viewers required to make any sort of money off of that platform, and the inside job theory can really appeal to people. Despite the fact that there is clear evidence that it was an outside individual or group that carried out the attacks. Let that sink in. DeCastro's reputation is so bad within both sides of the First Amendment auditing community, and he is so financially desperate right now that most people are rejecting the clear facts pointing to an outside hit on his channel to accuse DeCastro of staging the attacks on himself. DeCastro seemed overjoyed as he went live Saturday night. He proclaimed that he was renewed due to the attack and that they took their best shot to take him down and did not succeed before promptly attempting to self-sabotage his efforts and move his viewership over to Twitter/X. The 4-hour broadcast was more boring than anything else, with his typical outraged phone call over an issue several years in the past and 2-for-1 trifold sales dominating the broadcast. While fans reacted to the upbeat DeCastro, he was still slurring his words at the start of the broadcast and his pacing was off for the night. He literally failed to add anything new to his program to capitalize on the sympathetic viewership, and all in all, turned out an overly dull reaction to something that could have seen him mount his comeback. There were no further attacks on DeCastro's channel as of 4:03 a.m. Eastern Time on Sunday morning.
GoFundMe report November 24, 2024. In probably the best day for the market since September, we almost had an actual top 5 for Saturday, as 4 out of the 29 campaigns we follow had gains, with 3 of those gains passing the $50 mark. Saturday was dominated by Craig Hendry's To Support Craig's Work fund following the jailed YouTuber, putting out an evening appeal to his followers in order to help fund his challenge of his Friday conviction of felony stalking in Vermilion County, Indiana. The campaign's one-day take is more than Hendry made over the last 3 months combined, and currently puts him in the lead on the market monthly leaderboard, with the fund sitting at $699 for the month. Our own return to near daily newscasts brought our ongoing expenses fund a second-place finish to the day, with a $75 take, followed by Long Island Audits Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption Fund at a $50 take, with Liberty Trolls Support the Fight for Our Constitutional Rights Fund coming in fourth with a $10 take. As good as these numbers are for a market that has been absolutely dead for the past few months, one wonders what the numbers would have looked like if Chille DeCastro had stayed in the market. DeCastro famously shut down all of his GoFundMe efforts in September for unknown reasons, leaving his fans with limited outlets to donate to DeCastro other than his questionable paid applications. With the wave of sympathy and outpouring of love he received from his fans Saturday night, one has to speculate on the amount of money he robbed himself of by not taking advantage of that wave and reopening one of his many GoFundMe accounts at least for the weekend. DeCastro is literally bleeding cash at this point, just recently having to refuse to help support Craig Hendry at his trial in Indiana, as he says he couldn't afford airfare. Just one night of a GoFundMe may not have turned things around, but DeCastro could have easily tripled Hendry's take, and it's an unforced error on DeCastro's part. He desperately needs any funds he can get right now, if the rumors are true, and it's staggering to see him blow the opportunity to turn such good faith from his fans into a turnaround for his company. Speaking of good faith and turnarounds, after our own blunder last week, we need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Craig Hendry found guilty in felony stalking case. Activist and political prisoner Craig Hendry reported in a jailhouse address to his followers Saturday night that he had been convicted of felony stalking and 2 of 3 misdemeanor counts of harassment in Vermilion County, Indiana. Hendry's case was an unusual one from the start, as essentially Hendry was charged with harassment and stalking based on his actions through his fans. Evidence was presented, according to Hendry, that hinged on his release of the phone numbers and contact info of the victims, and his fans calling and writing the victims on his behalf. The so-called political prisoner had previously assured his fans that if he got a jury trial, it would be fair and that he could present his innocence to the public, and the jury would have no choice but to find him innocent. He quickly redacted those statements in his post-conviction statement. In Hendry's version of the jury trial, prosecutors were allowed to present countless amounts of evidence that his fans left messages, and his fans contacted the victims while showing no evidence at all that he actually contacted the victims in the case. Again, asserting that he was innocent, despite the conviction of 3 of the 4 counts that went before the jury, Hendry announced that his sentencing was on December 17, 2024, and after that he could appeal the verdict. Hendry announced that he would need to put up $60 an hour to have the trial transcribed before filing his appeal and would need his to finance his appeal going forward. He then gave out his cash applications and his GoFundMe and pleaded for his fans for support. Overnight, Hendry pulled in $240, which is a great take for Hendry, but nowhere near the thousands he claims he needs for both the transcription services and to finance his appeal. Hendry's brother Keith made a statement in the second half of the video. Keith said that the government was corrupt and essentially railroaded the jury into a victory for the prosecution. He called the jury a joke and claimed that one juror was asleep during part of the trial. Keith's complaints continued, angrily demanding to know why one of his brother's supporters was banned from wearing a Hendry Media Network hoodie, while police were allowed to wear their uniforms in court. The younger Hendry also made his displeasure known about the judge, instructing him not to demonstrate his emotions in favor of his brother or making outbursts in the courtroom during the trial. He finished by calling the judge corrupt and stating that the government was evil. Craig Hendry is expected to be transferred from Vermilion County to Sullivan County, Indiana, in the near future to face more felony charges in that county. His estimate for his pending sentencing is anywhere from 3 months to several years in jail. Kate Peter live streams about Karen Reed turmoil. Masshole Mafia leader Kate Peter went live with co-host Boomer and Kevin of the Yellow Cottage Tales YouTube channel Friday night to discuss continuing developments in the apparent dissolution of the once unified Free Karen Reed movement. The live stream was described as a violation of the protection order that Aiden Turtleboy Kearney has against Peter. While he took no actions to stop the broadcast may be used against Peter in upcoming hearings to back Kearney's claims. Peter herself downplayed Kearney's need for a protection order against her as he's openly sought her out in public in recent months. She described incidents where Kearney himself has taken photographs of her out at restaurants and having a beer, or pictures of her car and house. The group on Peter's livestream found it silly that Kearney is allowed to seek out Peter and act aggressively towards Peter, when, according to the protective order, Kearney lives in fear of Peter, as she once speculated on a livestream who would win a fight between them. Kearney, along with reporter Grant Smith Ellis, have been reporting that Peter is in a conspiracy to act against accused murderer Karen Reed, and that Peter somehow controls the district attorney and police force involved in investigating Karen Reed for the murder of John O'Keefe in January of 2022. Peter's livestream featured the apparent split in the Free Karen Reed movement, as a number of prominent figures within the group have been leaking text messages and group chats with many of the leading figures involved in the movement. Among those revelations in the alleged messages include Kearney's apparent statements that Karen Reed told him what to say when he directly confronted witness Jen McCabe at her daughter's soccer game. There was also an implication that Karen Reed told him to run Jen McCabe's license plates in a case that resulted in charges against Kearney and a police dispatcher who ran the plates for Kearney. Kearney and Reed have had an on-again, off-again partnership over the past 2 years, with Reed distancing herself from Kearney at times due to charges made against him of witness intimidation on behalf of Red. Reed and Kearney were among 200 people gathered Saturday night in a secret fundraising dinner held featuring Karen Reed supporters in Massachusetts. Kearney released photos where he posed with Karen Reed and her father and declared that the movement was more united than ever. The dissolution of the Free Karen Reed movement and invitation of all of the major players, despite many being at war with each other, apparently was meant to be a show of unity on behalf of Reed's forces, even as news of further leaks dominate Twitter/X feeds from those who cover the movement. Karen Reed's first trial for the murder of John O'Keefe resulted in a hung jury earlier in the year. A second trial is pending for next year, with Reed challenging 2 of the 3 charges on double jeopardy grounds. We will continue to document the ongoing events in Massachusetts.
Delete laws deleted, YouTube kills main channel. Fans of Jose Chille DeCastro were horrified Sunday night as his main Delete Laws channel was terminated by YouTube for violating the YouTube content guidelines. DeCastro's channel had suffered a hacking Friday night into Saturday morning, and explicit male-on-male pornography was displayed over 5 attacks. Online reports showed that whoever performed the attacks was using a trial version of the StreamYard software and apparently did not have access to DeCastro's 3 other YouTube channels. Fans immediately were suspicious as DeCastro let the pornography play for an extended period in the first 2 attacks before shutting down the broadcasts. That extended delay gave rise to an unfounded theory that DeCastro either hired someone to hack his channel or he pulled off the hack himself. While there is extensive evidence that DeCastro had nothing to do with the attacks, his reputation within his own community is so bad that the suspicion would not go away over the weekend. DeCastro's attempt to use the hacking as a rallying cry for all of his subscribers to move to his teamDLZ.com also brought suspicion, as he didn't get angry over the hack, didn't react like he normally does, and ultimately planted more suspicion on himself through his strange reactions than anything. According to Playboard.com, while DeCastro was paid for his October earnings before the hack, he's losing roughly $2,298 this month's earnings in earned super chats alone. Factor in the loss of YouTube AdSense revenue and memberships, and DeCastro's monthly losses could add up to the $5,000 to $6,000 range. DeCastro's viewership levels had tanked in recent weeks as he attempted to move his subscribers over to other platforms. He had continually warned that he was preparing for YouTube to shut down his main channel and that his fans should be advised that the day was coming that they would need to move elsewhere. However, as fans moved to his newly created platforms, they refused to pay for the Chille DeCastro experience. His Patreon stands at 4 paying customers in 6 weeks, for example, and his First Amendment Auditor YouTube channel has not achieved basic YouTube monetization as of press time. DLZ Clips, American Patriot Forever and DeCastro's First Amendment Auditor channels have not been impacted by the termination of DeCastro's main channel. Under YouTube guidelines, if the 3 channels shared the same AdSense account, they should have been terminated as well. DeCastro has vowed that he will not let evil win, and that fate has decided that his future lies in his constitutional law scholar board game. He also announced Sunday night that he was appealing the ban by YouTube. This is a developing news story. Delete laws. What's next for Jose Maria DeCastro? Jose Maria Chille DeCastro went live on his DLZ Clips channel late Sunday night with a somber, almost too calm, reaction to the loss of his Delete Laws main channel, promising to rebuild and putting hope in the future. DeCastro refused to cry or to let evil win as he addressed his fans, with 434 total views of the broadcast on YouTube and 171 views on Twitter/X. He said it was all part of the game and that he was taking it as a sign from fate that he needs to step back from broadcasting and to focus on finishing his constitutional law scholar board game. The YouTuber promised that the board game, which combines a traditional board game with video and audio aids, will be out by Christmas, and that he believed that the game will be just as popular as Trivial Pursuit was in the 1980s. He explained that while he appealed YouTube's decision to delete his main channel, he will have to lay off his editors immediately as the loss of revenue from the channel puts his own future in doubt, let alone the futures of the people he employs. DeCastro warned those who allegedly hacked his old channel that they damaged him greatly, but they did not kill him. The loss of 625,000 subscribers on his main channel will hurt, but he still had 106,000 subscribers on his DLZ Clips channel and small but loyal following on his American Patriot Forever and First Amendment Auditor YouTube channels. As fans found their way to his broadcast, he urged them not to sign up for memberships on any of his channels but to sign up for his TeamDLZ.com website, where all of the revenue would go directly to him. The activist and internet personality said that he only had about 100 subscribers on the paid TeamDLZ.com site and that he felt he failed in turning the site into a social network. He promised he would be working to improve the site and was more motivated than ever to start sharing more videos about the creation of his board game to his paid subscribers. DeCastro, again slurring words here and there and acting like he was in slow motion at times, has been criticized for his reaction to both Friday's alleged hacking of his site and his reaction to the loss of his channel. For months since his release from jail, DeCastro has been telling his fans to prepare for the day that his main channel would go away. More recently, in a telling sign, he was attempting to move his followers over to various new locations in case his main channel was deleted. His fans refused to leave, and his Patreon, TeamDLZ.com, Twitter/X and new First Amendment Auditor YouTube channel all failed to become the new homes for his fans over the past 6 weeks. There have also been persistent rumors since Friday night that DeCastro performed the porn spamming of his own channel himself, purposely tanking his channel in order to further the move to TeamDLZ.com. While there is more evidence to point to an actual hack than DeCastro destroying his own channel, the rumors persist based on DeCastro's lack of energy and effort in his reaction to the loss of his channels. DeCastro stated that has filed an appeal with YouTube. He claims he will know in a day or two if YouTube restores his main channel. He confirmed that he had been paid October's earnings on November 20th, before the hacking events happened. He made $95 in super chats off of the late-night broadcast. We will continue to provide updates as we get them.
Delete Laws leads Hendry to Sunday GoFundMe win. Before Delete Laws, Chille DeCastro's main YouTube channel was shut down. His very last broadcast on the channel was a fundraiser for Craig Hendry's newly created Support Craig's Fight Against Injustice GoFundMe campaign, which is seeking money to appeal Hendry's recent convictions in Indiana. Hendry was convicted of felony stalking and 2 counts of misdemeanor harassment for essentially having his followers brigade in Indiana town's mayor's office. A jury of Hendry's peers found Craig to be responsible for the harassment city workers faced in the 2023 incident to the charges. After the conviction, Hendry's girlfriend, Erica Brown, created a new GoFundMe devoted to the legal fees involved in the appeals process. The fund is currently seeking $15,000 towards Hendry's appeal, and DeCastro's efforts brought in $605 in donations for Sunday. Had DeCastro's channel not been later deleted Sunday night, we would have criticized DeCastro's lack of effort and strange timing of the broadcast as it conflicted with major NFL games scheduled for Sunday afternoon. DeCastro's demeanor was also a question, as simply put, this was among multiple recent broadcasts where DeCastro was slurring his words, and observers complained that he appeared inebriated during the broadcast, robbing Hendry of DeCastro's best efforts towards achieving his goal of $15,000. The broadcast drew a maximum of 192 live viewers on DeCastro's main YouTube channel and 135 total views during DeCastro's live broadcast on Twitter/X. That number has increased to 459 views since the end of the broadcast. With such a small crowd, most of his viewers made their donations early, and the well quickly went dry for donations towards Hendry's fund. The $605 represented a paltry 4% of the funds needed to meet Hendry's goal, and with the loss of DeCastro's main channel, any hope of Hendry making the $15,000 goal is effectively lost. The $605 for the day gave the GoFundMe title to Hendry's fund, with Sean Paul, Long Island Audit, Reyes Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign coming in second for the day with a $50 take, and Hendry's original To Support Craig's Work campaign bringing in the rear with $5 in donations. Hendry's new campaign is now in third place for the monthly GoFundMe title, behind Hendry's To Support Craig's Work campaign and Long Island Audit's Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign. We will continue to monitor Hendry's attempts to fundraise for his appeal each day in these GoFundMe updates. We need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. DeCastro helps Hendry dominate GoFundMe take. Both of political prisoner Craig Hendry's GoFundMe campaigns dominated the market on Monday, taking the 2 top slots in the top 5 with or without the help of Chille DeCastro. The day started with Hendry's girlfriend, Erica Brown, live streaming early in the day to appeal to his fans directly to help fund her boyfriend's need for both transcripts of last week's trial and money to be used for his appeal. Brown said that Hendry's attorney did a wonderful job at trial and proved that Hendry did not break the law. However, the jury felt otherwise. She accused one of the police witnesses of lying on the stand and said she felt that the prosecution did a terrible job and did not explain what laws Hendry was accused of breaking. She said the prosecutor instead played on emotions in winning over the jury. Hendry's new GoFundMe is currently set with a goal of $15,000, as Brown explained that he would need a lot of money to win the appeal. The appeal will be filed sometime after Hendry's December 17th sentencing and after they raise money to provide the transcripts of the trial. Much later, Chille DeCastro appeared on the John Philax Show and attempted to demonstrate his altruism by insisting that Philax put up a link to Hendry's GoFundMe. Philax put up a link to Hendry's old GoFundMe campaign while DeCastro claimed to have raised $7,000 for Hendry's new campaign, then $3,200 for the old campaign. As of press time, Hendry's original campaign stands at $3,421 out of a $4,000 goal, seeing $150 in donations for the day. Hendry's new campaign stands at $825 out of a $15,000 goal and took in $220 for the day. DeCastro was mistaken in the amounts he raised for either campaign, but may have provided direct assistance to Hendry's family instead of sending it to either campaign as claimed. Our own ongoing expenses account came in third place for the day with a $70 donation, while the Angry Vets Boost Scars mission for veterans and citizens pulled in $20 in donations to round out the top four. We need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Delete Laws blames Welsh News Network's Daniel Jones for hack. Jose Chille DeCastro appeared on John Philax's livestream Monday night, where he directly blamed the loss of his YouTube channel on former business partner Colin Campbell, and then said that Daniel Jones of the Welsh News Network was claiming responsibility for the hack. After Philax indicated that Christopher Direct D. Ruff said that Campbell had distributed an email containing DeCastro's login information to hundreds of people, DeCastro showed an image of a Discord message between an unknown user and Jones of WNN that read, "Today at 10:52 p.m., hey, did you really do the chili porn bomb? That was fucking epic. May 7th, 2024. Welsh News Network today at 11:04 p.m. You mate. I have an insider who sent me the YouTube logins. He makes a lot BTW. Anyway, logged in and just dropped the nasty business when I saw he was offline. Did the same thing the next day. Easy peasy." Observers were quick to point out that the message was dated May, though Jones and DeCastro have had a long history of conflict that would make Jones a prime suspect in the hacking. The Welsh News Network channel was one of the few that survived DeCastro's great copyright crackdown of late 2022, where he filed nearly 200 false copyright strikes against such channels as Team Skeptic, Irish Demon, Glober Mom, and Uncle Artie. Most of the channels were at least temporarily removed or suspended by YouTube during the purge, but were later restored by the company. Following the crackdown, WNN emerged as a thorn in DeCastro's side for the next year and a half, doing near nightly reaction live streams to any material DeCastro put out. On 2 occasions, WNN was demonetized by YouTube, which Jones blamed on brigading and mass copyright claim incidents by DeCastro. ReallyCoolNews worked in association with WNN, and owner/reporter Jim Finch appeared on WNN broadcasts until the channel essentially dissolved in May of 2024 after the entire cast quit following Irish Demon and WNN cast member Shuggy's revelations that Jones was committing stolen valor and had lied about his entire background. Jones recently announced he was reviving the channel later this year, without the involvement of his former castmates. Following implicating Jones and Campbell in the hack, no mention was made of DeCastro's own involvement in demonetizing and having other channels taken down. Philax attacked those who carried out DeCastro's attack, calling them cowards for destroying another creator's livelihood. Questions remain, however, as the public seems convinced that DeCastro is the prime suspect in carrying out the attack on his own channel. DeCastro split with Campbell over a year ago in a vicious and nasty feud between the men that resulted in Campbell seeking a protection order against DeCastro. Observers question why DeCastro didn't implement the very basics of security measures last year after the split. DeCastro either displayed complete ineptitude or sheer naivete, as the passwords and the StreamYard keys that he claimed Jones and Campbell used to hack his account were still the same after all this time. DeCastro himself has benefited from the hack, as his main YouTube channel had gained 2,000 new subscribers a day before it was taken down. The channel itself had been flat in subscriber growth and viewing hours since late August, and the hack itself seemed to revive interest in his channel. With DeCastro's announcement on Tuesday morning that he may be getting his main channel back, it remains to be seen if DeCastro can prove his allegations against Jones and Campbell. This is a developing news story. Delete Law's YouTube account restored. Chille DeCastro's YouTube account was restored Tuesday afternoon after a one-day removal Sunday night, following 5 incidents of porn spamming that occurred Friday night into Saturday morning. DeCastro named former business partner Colin Campbell and Welsh News Network owner Daniel Jones as the people responsible for the hack during an appearance on John Philax's livestream Tuesday night. DeCastro said that he believed that Campbell shared both the password to and the StreamYard key with Jones, who ultimately perpetrated the attacks. While DeCastro named his suspects, the vast majority of observers of the situation have expressed suspicion that DeCastro either carried out the attack himself or had members of his team DLZ carry out the attacks for him to give himself plausible deniability. DeCastro's motives, according to those who believe the theory, are that DeCastro has failed to gain attention to 4 attempted moves to relocate his primary online presence off of YouTube in the past month. His failure to gain more than 5 paying customers on his original attempt move to Patreon, his failure to achieve even basic monetization in his rebranding to his new First Amendment Auditor channel, his continued failure to gain traction on his move to Twitter, and his apparent failure to force his viewers to pay a minimum of $6 per month to join his team DLZ.com all stand out motivation to pull a stunt to bring much-needed attention to the plight of his business. The hack and the further setbacks he experienced as his YouTube channel was removed brought him attention on levels he hasn't experienced in years following his 2022 copyright crackdown on other channels using his material. In the past 2 days alone, over a dozen channels or live streams have been devoted to the mystery of DeCastro's hack and the possibility of DeCastro permanently losing his channel. DeCastro's further announcement that he would be laying off employees and would be facing a canned chicken Thanksgiving has reportedly brought in significant contributions to his cash applications and had been used as a source for further fundraising on his Sunday night live stream on his DLZ Clips channel. No statement has been made by DeCastro since his channel has been restored. He is expected to live stream later tonight. Delete Law's DeCastro screws over Craig Hendry. Chille DeCastro's return to live streaming on his main channel Tuesday night by promptly messed up the promotion of Craig Hendry's GoFundMe accounts on his big comeback show by completely forgetting the URL to the campaign that he had promoted Sunday night. DeCastro had previously lied about the total he had given Hendry's newest GoFundMe Monday night when he made an appearance on John Philax's livestream. He claimed multiple different donation amounts, from a low of $3,200 to a high of $7,000, even though neither campaign was anywhere near $7,000. Philax added to the confusion by posting links to the wrong GoFundMe campaign, which saw a one-day jump in donations for Hendry's original donations. That confusion continued on Tuesday as DeCastro's attempts to find Hendry's GoFundMe resulted in DeCastro pulling up the wrong GoFundMe and being confused by the fact that there were 2 GoFundMe campaigns for Hendry. DeCastro had previously claimed that Hendry was one of his closest friends and that they spent hours on the phone talking. For such close friends, DeCastro didn't pre-check URLs for the promotions he was involved with, nor did he do a simple check of Hendry's YouTube pages, which feature the correct donation link. Even with diminished numbers for the night, 261 live viewers on his main channel, down by hundreds of viewers compared to other post-big event DeCastro shows. The fact that he screwed up so spectacularly in promoting Hendry's account may have cost Hendry significant donations for the day. As it stands, Hendry's new Support Craig's Fight Against Injustice Fund drew $60 in donations for the day. His To Support Craig's Work Fund, which DeCastro featured on screen during the event but dismissed as the wrong campaign, brought in no money at all for the day. Long Island Audit's Support the Fight Against Tyranny and Corruption campaign came in second for the day with a $5 donation. There were no other donations for any of the funds we cover. DeCastro's blunder comes at a time when Hendry's family is desperate for funding for the transcripts of his recent trial that must be produced before Hendry can file an appeal. DeCastro ignored Hendry's plight for the rest of his broadcast and instead focused fundraising efforts on Don Newman, ultimately raising enough money, according to DeCastro, to fund her commissary account until Christmas. We need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Lombardi quits. Free Karen Read movement in turmoil. Masshole troll mafia leader Kate Peter live-streamed with co-host Boomer Tuesday night with an extended look at the turmoil within the so-called Free Karen Read movement as prominent member Rita Lombardi quit the movement. The live stream followed a day of big asks for the prosecution in Karen Read's murder case. Special prosecutor Hank Brennan sought phone records from Karen Read's father and mother for the period around the death of John O'Keefe in 2022. Karen Read's attorneys opposed the request, as they claimed that the request would be a gross violation of Read's parents' privacy and would only serve as a fishing expedition for the prosecution. Special Prosecutor Brennan is also seeking unredacted notes and video from an interview reporter Gretchen Voss did for Boston Magazine. Brennan claims that portions of the redacted interview contained instructions from her attorney to change some of her answers and that attorney-client privilege doesn't apply when Read and her lawyers were in the presence of a reporter. It was also a hard weekend for the Free Karen Read movement, as Read held a fundraising dinner that was originally described as over 200 members of the movement, but whittled down to just friends and family, and a handful of supporters after members of the movement who were not invited to the event expressed outrage. Karen Read supporter Rita Lombardi publicly quit the movement this week after being excluded from the fundraising event. Lombardi was a prominent member of the Free Karen Read movement who unsuccessfully ran for a seat on the Select Board of Canon and was widely backed by the movement. An account claiming to be Lombardi posted in the side chat of Kate Peters' livestream Tuesday night. This was about doing what is right and fighting for her innocence. And now it's about how deep our pockets are? I am beyond distraught. This is what it has come to. The account continued. I was fighting for Canton and for the entire Commonwealth, but suddenly it's about the who's who of Massachusetts? Give me a break. Peter welcomed Lombardi to the stream and commended her for her dedication to the cause despite their differences of opinion on Karen Read's innocence. Peter also noted that the Free Karen Read movement has about 300 total supporters, and last weekend's exclusion is serving as a major crisis point for the movement. Observers noted that Karen Read's support at the hearing was the lowest ever, with just a small handful of supporters on hand to support Read. Read is accused of the second-degree murder of Boston police officer John O'Keefe, her then-boyfriend, in January of 2022. Her first trial resulted in a hung jury. She is scheduled to be retried in January of 2025. Peter's livestream drew 1,282 continuous viewers at the peak of the event. Disclaimer: Really Cool News started as a daily news update on Kate Peters' original Masshole Discord server. It later moved to ReallyCoolNews.org with a channel on Peter's server. There are no financial or editorial ties between Peter and the news outlet.
DeCastro backs away from hacking allegations. A day after naming Daniel Jones of the Welsh News Network and former associate Colin Project Constitution Campbell as the culprits behind the porn bombing of his channel, Jose Chille DeCastro backed away from the accusations during his Monday night livestream. The YouTuber had previously shared a detailed account of the attack, where he claimed that Campbell shared the password and StreamYard key to his channel with Jones, who then carried out the attack. DeCastro specifically said that Jones was taking credit for the account despite his own evidence contradicting that fact. DeCastro's only proof of Jones' involvement in the hack was a screenshot of a Discord message that read, "Today at 10:52 p.m. Hey, did you really do the Chille porn bomb? That was fucking epic. May 7th, 2024. Welsh News Network today at 11:04 p.m. Ya mate. I have an insider who sent me the YouTube logins. He makes a lot BTW. Anyway, logged in and just dropped the nasty business when I saw he was offline. Did the same thing the next day. Easy peasy. DeCastro either ignored the May 7, 2024 timestamp in the message or thought his fans wouldn't notice it as he made the accusation against Jones on John Philax's livestream. He did not retract the accusation or apologize for it on Tuesday night's livestream. Jones himself sent ReallyCoolNews an email indicating that he no longer uses Discord nor did he have any involvement with Colin Campbell. WNN YouTube. 2U. Tuesday, November 26, 2024, 4:06 p.m. I don't use Discord nor have I for approximate 6 months. Nor am I involved with Colin. Dan. 2 other names took themselves out of the running as the hackers on Monday as both Michael Aline and Brian Here's the Deal Young both made denials on live streams on their respective channels. Young said that it would be logical to presume that he was involved as he's had his differences with DeCastro over the past year but denied doing the hack. He said he received a notice Friday night when the first attack happened and attempted to notify DeCastro, who did not pick up his call. He said he later contacted a mutual friend who then contacted DeCastro to end the broadcast. Aline also denied the hack and would not have done it even though he had his differences with DeCastro on different issues over the past year. He said that he had numerous expert witnesses to call in to investigate and pledged the power of YouTuber BZ Watchdog in finding the culprit or culprits using forensics. He then went on to share his negative thoughts on the Rothschilds and how he and the founding fathers of the United States were against democracy. Both men had previously served as hosts on DeCastro's channel while he was incarcerated in Las Vegas earlier in the year and presumably still have access to his StreamYard account. One person who seemed offended that he was not named as a suspect was YouTuber Irish Demon. Demon spent Monday afternoon live streaming a best of show in celebration of some of the pranks he's pulled on DeCastro over the years. While Demon did not confess to the hacking, he made it clear that his previous pranks on DeCastro were epic and DeCastro should never underestimate him. Demon followed up that broadcast with a broadcast where he restreamed DeCastro rage quitting Christopher Direct D. Ruff's livestream Monday night. Ruff had wanted to play a Kate Peter video featuring accusations against DeCastro, while DeCastro demanded Ruff make the case against him without video stimulation. Ruff muted DeCastro, resulting in DeCastro's rage quit. DeCastro took a more tempered approach on his Tuesday night livestream, cautioning both Utah Transparency and Wolverine Transparency to bring receipts after both YouTuber claimed to know the identity of the person or person who carried out the attack. Chille DeCastro's YouTube channel had been taken down on Sunday night and restored a little after noon Eastern Time on Tuesday. DeCastro did not apologize to Colin Campbell or Daniel Jones during the broadcast. Disclaimer: Jim Finch of ReallyCoolNews previously worked with Daniel Jones on the Welsh News Network as a panelist on WNN's nightly shows. Finch quit the program along with the rest of the cast in May of 2024 when panelist Shuggy and YouTuber Irish Demon revealed that Jones committed stolen valor. There is no connection between the recent revival of the Welsh News Network and ReallyCoolNews or the Auditing Insanity newscast.
Craig Hendry desperate after DeCastro snub. YouTuber and self-proclaimed political prisoner Craig Hendry's woes continued over the Thanksgiving break as he dealt with ramifications of Chille DeCastro bungling his GoFundMe campaigns Tuesday night. DeCastro went live Tuesday with a celebration of the return of his main YouTube channel after a 2-day ban after it was taken down for a porn bombing. In that live stream, an apparently inebriated DeCastro bungled the URLs for Hendry's GoFundMe, got confused when he discovered that Hendry had 2 GoFundMe campaigns, then promoted the wrong GoFundMe to his fans. That wrong GoFundMe, Hendry's to support Craig's work campaign, took in $50 on Wednesday, but went silent on Thursday, as most fans were off for the Thanksgiving holiday. The new Support Craig's Fight Against Injustice campaign has stagnated at $885, 6% of the $15,000 goal, since DeCastro erred in his promotion both Monday night on an appearance on John Philax's show, and then Tuesday night in promoting it on his own live stream. Hendry himself has been quiet since his statement last week denouncing his conviction of felony harassment charges in Vermilion County, Indiana. The political prisoner attacked the jury, the victims, and the prosecution in the case before his mid-December sentencing, taking no responsibility for his actions and sticking to his claims of innocence. His girlfriend, Erica Brown, who is organizing both GoFundMe campaigns, made similar claims earlier in the week on her own address on Hendry's YouTube channel. She stated that Hendry's attorney proved that Hendry violated no laws, but the corrupt judge, jury, and system worked against her boyfriend to keep him in jail. Hendry and Brown were cautioned by attorney Patrick J. Darcy in his latest video, urging Hendry to listen to his attorney and stop making statements, noting that the chances in Indiana for having a successful appeal is in the teens percentage-wise, though it would be lower since Hendry was convicted of attacks on city workers. Hendry has been sabotaging his chances of appeal with these statements that can be used against him in court. Darcy also looked at Hendry's future. With a felony stalking conviction, Hendry's conviction will be tough to overcome on job applications and finding work in the future. While short-term it adds to Hendry's credibility with his fans, in the end, the conviction will haunt him if he decides to return to normal means of work. We need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Denver Metro audits reports from live standoff. Excitement again entered the life of Christopher Denver Metro audits court of a Wednesday night as he live-streamed from a side street in Englewood, Colorado, where police had blocked off access due to a man barricaded in a house. Cordova explained that this was the second time in recent memory that he had been on the street where someone was involved in a standoff with police. He questioned why the block in particular attracted so much attention from police since it appeared to be so normal. The YouTuber immediately went past police cars that were blocking the road and was taken aback when a police officer reminded him that the cars blocking the road was a good sign he shouldn't be there. Cordova retorted that police tape would be a better choice and was surprised when police responded by putting up tape on the cars with the most minimal effort to block the road. He then decided to make the long walk around the block to get to the other side of the crime scene, figuring there would be less of a police presence and more access to the crime scene. After a long walk that left the YouTuber visibly winded, Cordova walked up to an ambulance and still couldn't get a shot of the residents involved in the incident. It was also getting dark, and Cordova feared that he didn't bring his light with him, which reduced visibility even further as the sun went down. YouTube user writes Crispy verified in Cordova's side chat with information that was already known, that there was a standoff with a barricaded subject on the street and that residents were being asked to shelter in place. Cordova added random notes that he expects to be off of probation after a year due to good behavior as long as he avoided another arrest. He seemed to back away from previous comments that he would self-revoke his probation as he found that it had not interfered with his job as an independent contractor for Google, i.e. a YouTube creator. The independent contractor for YouTube then began to complain about YouTube's policies and that his channel was shadow banned due to an incident earlier this year where he uploaded a banger video featuring women marching at Denver's Go Topless event. Cordova has previously been accused of filming women at the event without permission to capture their nudity rather than the protest. His banger video was removed by YouTube for violating their rules on nudity. YouTube issued a content strike against his main channel for the incident, and Cordova stated that if YouTube does not end the shadow ban when the content strike is lifted, he will abandon his main channel and will move all his work to this backup channel, Denver Metro Audits 2.0. Cordova continued to complain about the shadow ban and his inability to make money on his YouTube channel. A trained electrician, Cordova ruled out returning to the profitable profession or working any other job other than being an independent contractor for Google. Eventually, Cordova made his way back to the original side of the blocked-off street, talking briefly with residents before declaring he was cold and hungry and leaving the scene. He invited his fans to meet him at Way Back Burgers in Englewood for dinner. It is unclear if anyone took him up on his offer as a press time. Floyd Wallace needs your donations again. YouTuber Floyd Wallace returned to Medellin, Colombia, on Tuesday, where he reinvigorated his sex drive by hooking up with a date before returning to livestream Thursday night to ask his fans for their help again. This time, Wallace was seeking $150 to pay off his fees involved in his probation for a Texas conviction earlier in the year. Wallace took a plea deal for a traffic incident that resulted in unsupervised probation. He's been seeking help paying off fines involved in the original incident, then the probation for the past several months, and assured his fans that he would be able to return to a life of sex tourism. Thursday's live stream involved Wallace explaining that he couldn't stay as long as he wanted to in Colombia, as he still had to abide by the rules of probation. He had previously explained that he had to return to the United States every 21 days, but could quickly return to sex tourism as long as he checked in on day 21. He also explained that he chose to leave the United States to return to sex tourism before paying off his probation, as he expected further help with the fine from his fans. He accepted the criticism that his expenditures for the flight and the Airbnb could have made a dent in his probation fees, but explained that he took the risk of traveling to better the life of his fans. Wallace has long contended that his sex tourism is educational, as he provides travel tips for those interested in the passport bro sex tourism lifestyle. He then repeated a tip that he insists on sexual activity of some sort before taking a girl out, so if the plans go sour, they'll have already been sexually gratified, so the actual date itself did not matter. The YouTuber seemed soured by the fact that his fans were complaining about the quality of a previous date he had filmed earlier in the day. It consisted of Wallace taking a date to Kentucky Fried Chicken and sitting in relative silence as the pair ate. Again, as Wallace explained, the date did not matter as he had already had a sexual encounter with the woman on camera. Wallace complained that he was on a $2,500 budget while on his current trip. He then laughed as he explained his date wanted money for sex, but he refused to pay her, saying the meal was a payment. This triggered her, and she quickly ended the date after the meal. The YouTuber was unsuccessful in raising the $150 by the end of his live stream. DeCastro may be screwed by IRS tax changes. Black Friday saw no charitable activity at all in the campaigns we follow, as they all went blank for the shopping holiday, with no new contributions and larger issues pending as a tax change for 2024 may come into play for unsuspecting auditors and YouTube personalities. As of the 2024 tax season, anyone making more than $600 for the year on Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal for goods and services will receive a 1099-K tax form from the service provider, and the service provider will be reporting that income to the IRS. While it might not mean much to those who are not taking in a lot of money or someone who is only receiving the money as gifts from friends and followers, for someone like Chille DeCastro, who took in thousands from countless donations and sales from PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo, investment in a good tax person might be a lifesaver come tax time. DeCastro is notorious for his abstract filing system, telling those who donate to his many fundraisers just to put in a notation that it's for whatever cause he's raising money for. However, that doesn't consider those donations he gets that don't have a note or the money from the fundraiser that he then uses for his own transactions. His failed attempt to get a 501c3 tax-free charity organization off the ground, which still hasn't happened despite his promises that it would be coming back in 2023, might actually make things even harder for DeCastro, as he never opened individual accounts to handle his charitable donations and continues to mix his personal and business finances with those of his supposed charitable contributions. The change in the law was ignored for the 2022 and 2023 tax seasons. The law is going to be implemented for the 2024 tax season with a break for consumers. Those making over $600 from the payment processors are going to be getting the forms. The IRS is only worried about those making over $5,000 from the providers for the year. Also, since they are supposed to only apply to transactions where someone is expecting something back for the money they paid, DeCastro could dodge a bullet if his records keeping is top-notch, however. For example, a trifold sale through Venmo would count, while a $200 donation to Jason Dollarhide's fundraising campaign may not count. For example, unless the person who donated was promised goods and services in response to that donation. From the state of DeCastro's record-keeping that we've all seen during his videos, there may be problems ahead for everyone's favorite trifold salesman come tax time. We need your help. This newscast is funded by your donations along with what we make from our YouTube channel per month. While we did achieve full monetization on YouTube, we still need help to get through monthly expenses and keeping the lights on to bring you the paper and the newscast each day. If you can afford it, please consider donating to the GoFundMe run by this very channel. All donations literally go to keeping the lights on, eating, and writing news stories to feature here and on ReallyCoolSite.org. If you can't afford to contribute, please watch the advertisements on our videos and like, share, subscribe, and comment. You can help by doing next to nothing, and we thank you in advance for pitching in. Wallace loses beard, gains the stud in new updates. YouTuber and sex tourist Floyd Wallace suffered a blow to his ego on Friday as he lost his beard due to an accident with a barber earlier in the day. Wallace, who is notorious for refusing to change clothes, shower, or get a haircut unless his fans donate money to his various fundraisers, was getting a rare haircut and beard trim when he explained that the barber cut too much from one side of his beard, resulting in his decision to remove the rest of the beard. What could not be explained, however, was why Wallace allowed the man to go on to shave his head. His new haircut is ill-fitting and strange for Wallace's head, and should be a reminder not to use a barber who you cannot communicate with in their native language. Wallace's fans picked on him for the hair, but were instantly distracted by the fact that Wallace was now accompanied by the woman known as the Stud, who most of Wallace's more appearance-focused fans hate. The Stud is a masculine woman, who Wallace has previously used to cook, clean, and chauffeur him around Colombia. The pair had a massive falling out at the end of Wallace's last trip as he was ditched by another girl and took the Stud to a resort town in his last days in the country. Wallace became upset when the Stud opted to stay with her family in a nearby town instead of with Wallace, who expected her to perform the same services at his Airbnb as sort of a live-in maid and sexual object as she had previously been doing. When the Stud was an hour late for their planned date at the resort, Wallace had anger management issues, swore off the Stud, and proceeded to film himself doing all of the activities by himself. Wallace's fans cheered their breakup, as the Stud's appearance and masculine qualities were not appreciated by the majority. They took every opportunity to insult and degrade her where possible and cheered on Wallace for breaking up with her in such a harsh manner. Her appearance on the live stream has brought the same negative reaction towards her from his core audience, with several leaving the same sort of negative messages and attacks on her appearance and character as before. Always divisive when she appears, despite how well the woman treats Wallace, cooking, cleaning, driving, being a general nice person and partner for the YouTuber. Her appearance becomes an issue as Wallace's brand focuses on teaching his audience how to pick up the most attractive women in the countries he visits. Wallace's Friday night live stream focused the pair walking around Belo Medellin, Colombia, for 15 minutes before Wallace entered a shopping mall and his signal was disrupted. He did not return to streaming after that. The YouTuber has returned to Colombia despite still owing money for his probation fees and recently launched a campaign to allow his fans to pay the fee while he continues his sex tour of the country. Chad Gue doing better disputes Beth Risk claims. Captain Chad Gue of the Ironton, Ohio Police Department, who was hospitalized over the past week with stroke-like symptoms and temporary blindness, released a statement to his YouTube community page late Friday night. "I'm down but not out. God will deliver, as he always does. I am blown away by the support and touched deeply. Life isn't about how hard you hit. It's how hard you can get hit and keeping getting up, keep moving forward. Think of how cool the comeback story will be for God's glory. Keep praying and I'll be back. Jesus is Lord." Gyu suffered an incident Tuesday where he was hospitalized after experiencing trouble with his vision and numbness down the left side of his body. He was eventually transferred to Ohio State Hospital, where he underwent a number of tests. Despite former Ironton police officer Beth Rist announcing to Jose Chille DeCastro's side chat that Gyu had a stroke, prompting DeCastro to make comments both mocking Gyu and supporting Gyu's recovery, Rist had no contact with the family, nor did her comments prove truthful. As the week progressed, from statements from Gyu's family, tests showed that both a stroke and an aneurysm were ruled out as causes of Gyu's symptoms. According to a statement attributed to Gyu on Thursday, all of the potential life-threatening stuff was ruled out, and Gyu was set to be released from the hospital either late on Thursday or early Friday. Gyu gained fame when he stood up to Jose Chille DeCastro back in 2022 after DeCastro's famed, or infamous, trip to Ironton, Ohio. Gyu accepted DeCastro's challenge to a cage match and helped set up an event between the two with proceeds going to a charitable cause. DeCastro blamed a knee injury and high blood pressure for backing out of the fight, later admitting that he was afraid that Gyu and his police buddies would attack him and make him disappear after the event. The match was held anyway, with Gyu accepting the symbolic victory and an internet title belt that later was given to masshole troll mafia leader K. Peter. Gyu recently confirmed that he was still working, despite former Ironton police officer Beth Rist's claims that he had retired from the force. There has been no word from Gyu as to how long he'll be off his feet or the cause of his illness. Those seeking to follow his recovery can do so at his YouTube channel at Legicator7270.